Welcome back to Harvest to Harvest. I'm Lisa Merwin, and today we're going to talk about long-term fruit storage. But in this episode, what we're going to do is talk about where do I start? You know, you might be watching videos from HRN or other videos on other platforms, and you're going, okay, you're showing me how to do it, but where do I begin? So let's go ahead and think about that for a minute. Where I'm going to start is I'm going to start with a few prices. When I started on this journey about 2020, like a lot of us have, I started getting into the food storage part of things. And so I actually kept a record of some of the food prices, and I think you guys would enjoy some of this. So on this slide, we have 2 pounds of pinto beans. In 2020, they were $1.48 for 2 pounds. Today's price is $1.98. Now, it kind of kept steady there for a little bit. It did in 21 and 22 was $1.92. So you might say, well, that's not a big difference. I also got the price for black-eyed peas. In 2020, it was $1.48. Today's price is $1.66. I like to use that better than bouillon chicken broth to just kind of season up the rice and beans and all that stuff. So in 2020, a jar of that was $3.72. Today, it's $4.28. Okay, here's peanut butter. I have kids. What child does not like peanut butter? Well, I went with 2 different brands. So my house uses a lot of Jiffy, or at the time it used a lot of Jiffy. So in 2020, for a 2-pack, it was $9.77. But in 2001, I couldn't find those 2-packs, so I could come up with a price. Again, in 2022, no 2-packs. Today, 2-packs have been showing up again, and it's now $13.56. That's a lot. So now we like the generic brand. And we all get that at our favorite box store. So for their 4-pound one, in 2020 was $4.97. In 2023, it's $5.98. So as you can see, the prices have come up. Now I want to show you like sugar. Okay. I know sugar, maybe a lot of you don't use white sugar, but some people still do use white sugar. You go in the store today and you'll see it pretty empty. Well, a 10-pound bag in 2020 was $3.76. Today, it's $6.47. For a 25-pound bag, and that's if you can find it. I mean, that's a really rare. It's $8.98 in 2020. In 2023, $15.78. Now, those prices are here in South Mississippi. It might be more like in places like California or on the East Coast like New York and all that. It just depends what it is. And like I said, this is everybody's favorite big box store. So it's where everybody's going to shop around here. And even in some other places. Now, if you go to the fancier ones, I bet, yeah, they're going to be up a little bit more. Or you can say, well, we can go to places like membership type stores too. But even there, they have gone up. But most people will go just to the one that's closest to them out of convenience, or that's where we do everything by habit. So that's a big price difference. So to say that our economy is only at 7% inflation rate, that doesn't sound like that to me. And even those little things just seem to jump up. Even, it was, 10 cents more now than it was in 2020. But here you go with sugar. Sugar alone is over $3 more. And that's just for 10 pounds. So like I said, things are getting more expensive. So as I began this journey, like I said, let me go back. We had a sickness go in our household in 2018, around March time. And we have a very big family. At the time, we had make sure everybody was. We had 8 kids in the house, and plus my husband and I. So that's 10 people. And there was a respiratory sickness that went through the house in 2018. And it was a pretty serious one. And everybody kind of got sick. When that happens, no one gets sick all at once. It's in stages. So about 2 or 3, 4 weeks around there, obviously we're out of church because people were sick. And it just made me realize from that experience, I didn't have everything I need. I didn't have, when you're taking turns trying to taking care of kids, getting laundry done, fixing meals, I didn't have simple meals ready. I definitely didn't have all the meds that I needed at the time. Paper products. That would have made my life a whole lot easier if I had a big stack of plates and utensils and everything already set up. We went through quite a lot, and praise the Father that my husband didn't. He got over it pretty quick. He didn't really get affected by it, so he was able to go out, but it's still trying to think through all that stuff. So when 2020 came around, since I've already kind of went through this, I started, no, since we didn't know what the sickness was that was going around in 2020 and the extent of it, because I was hearing rumblings like at the end of January, beginning of February, I said, you know what? I have a large family. If we get sick and we're knocked out for 3 months because everyone gets sick in stages, do I have what I need? And between 2018 and 2020, I started accumulating things. I found out what type of vitamin C my children liked. There's a certain brand called green tea that has a lot of vitamin C on it that helps with vitamins, to help, keep the mucus thinned out. So I got some of that. I got some nebulizers. And definitely when 2020 came around, I added more to that. Also got some colloidal silver and vitamin D, stuff that, anything that my family needed. I was on that journey already, but when 2020 hit, I said, well, if we had to stay here, what did I need to do? So, like I said, I personally picked 3 months because we just didn't know at the time. And what was going to happen, how bad this is. So I would literally sat down with a notebook and with a pen there, and I wrote down what does my family actually use in 3 months' time. I wrote down, us moms, especially with larger families, but us moms, we know we need 2 olive oil containers to last us through from paycheck to paycheck. We know what's going on in our households. So that was pretty much easy for me to do, was sit down, okay, well, for three months, I'm probably going to need six bottles of olive oil. We ate a lot of frozen broccoli at the time. I figured out we needed 12 bags of those. So I wrote all this down. What else did we, paper towels, I went with just 3. I knew we would probably have to go back and get more. I don't have the storage space, but I figured 3 big ones from the membership type stores you can get. I could fit my house, and that can last my family at least 3 weeks, a month. Okay, some of you guys, that will probably last you 2 or 3 months, okay? But for us, that's where we can at least get us from one thing to another without having to really leave the house, especially when you're sick. Because when you're sick, you're not thinking straight anyway. Because you're getting into survival mode. And like I said, at 2020, we just didn't know what we were dealing with. So I wanted to be prepared. I was unprepared before, and I wanted to do a better job this time. I believe the Father shows us with our life experiences through each thing what we need to do at that time. So I use that experience to push me forward. I had 8 kids at the house at the time that I needed to feed. I needed to be sure that they had food in their tummies. And my husband was very grateful for it. So with my list, I went to the big membership store, and me and my daughter, with big carts, we didn't even touch half the list. And when I came home, I quickly found out I didn't have the room. Remember those 12 bags of broccoli that I needed? I got 6. I got some other frozen stuff, plus the meat. I got like 6 bags of chicken breast. I had 2 freezers. Already had some stuff in there. I didn't have the room. If I were to buy 3 months of stuff, I would not have the room where I could just stay in my house. I just didn't have the room for it. So I had to learn how to rethink things, how to, what can I do? Can I make things even simpler in my life? So I kind of thought about it some more, started watching some videos, started getting into long-term storage. And as we know, as we progressed through things, we started learning. I started baking bread again because, bread was starting to be missing besides the toilet paper thing. But bread was hit and miss for a long time. So I went back to making bread. I had taken a break. And it was a good time to dive into that again. So I already had some of the stuff already accumulated. So I looked at different ways for my family on how to do the lifestyle and goals that we had. And that's what you need to do. First, you need to pray about it and see where the Father directs you. And see, how can I make this manageable in my household? And I'm not talking, we start in little baby steps. You don't have to go with 6 months out. I'm going to get 6 months of food. Hey, if you got the money for it, I encourage you to do that. But start out in baby steps. Not everybody, especially at this time, our economy is not doing very well. And some people are really, paycheck to paycheck. That's just how life is at this moment. And, or you're in between jobs. You can't do this. How am I going to do this for the next time? Use those experiences you had the past 3 years to kind of push you forward. What do you want to see? Do you live in an area that's prone to natural disasters? And when we talk about the economy, but if you're like in hurricane season or earthquake country, tornado alley, earthquake country, you don't get it's not too bad. But those tornadoes, high winds alone, knock out the power. You can be out of power for 2 or 3 days or a week. Hurricane season, some areas, it can be 12 hours. It could be 3 weeks. A couple years ago, poor Lake Charles area got hit with 2 hurricanes. The first one, depending how much out in the country they were, I'm talking like rural areas, they were out of power for 6 weeks. They actually just got their power back, and then another hurricane went through and knocked it out. So those are the type of things. You can say, well, you can move here, you can move there. Well, most of us can't move out of those areas. I love here in the South. So you know what? I'm going to manage my time and manage my resources for things when a hurricane hits. If I had lived in California in the past, I wasn't in preparedness. Now, if I lived in California now, and I would prepare for, do I have 3 days of food and water and stuff I need and batteries and everything like that? I would prepare my family for those situations. Don't have much experience with tornadoes. We get some during here, but you want to prepare for that too, because you just never know when services can come in, even if your town doesn't get hit. You can be close enough to where something does hit and services are hard to get to, because usually those are in very rural areas. So, and to touch on those that live in the country, you know how far the town is. It's hard to go hiking, walking if we can't get to it, or even getting gas. When Katrina hit in this area, some people were going up to Meridian. That's a 2-3 hour drive from here to go get gas. Why? Because gas and stuff can get in. That's an extreme, but it does happen. You need to prepare for it. And especially those down in Florida, they know their situation. You really need to prepare down there. They have holding tanks down there for their gasoline. Trucking is a big thing. Okay, you need gas to move the trucks. Trucks move the food. You're in a natural disaster, if it's declared, if there's too much debris and stuff like that, the trucks aren't moving. The industries down here along the coast here will try to get everything back on forward or back to moving. But again, this is a way to get your family prepared for that and for uncertain times. So, like I had suggested before, pray about it. and what your goal is. Like I said, 72 hours, 3 weeks, 3 months, 3 years. But just start small, because you don't want to go, okay, we all get all gangbuster, but sometimes we have a short attention span and then we lose interest. Remember, slow and steady gets us to the end, just like that turtle and the hare there story. We don't want it. We just go a little bit at a time and build on it and build on it and build on it. Put a budgeted amount. If you are living paycheck to paycheck, things are really tight. Do you even have the money? Is it none? $10, $20, or $50 a paycheck or a month? Decide what you're going to do and try to keep that going. Okay? Consider, when you sit down with your notebook and paper, write down what your family eats over 3 months and see if you can maybe simplify it. You'll probably find a lot of waste. I found a lot of waste. And like I said, I simplified a lot of things. And then once you have that 3 months, if you want to go with the meals first and then break it down into ingredients. Like I said, but most of our moms know how much we use and what we're going to do with our, we have our basic food and we just throw it together. I would also put on that 3-month list I did, like I said, I also put disposable items. I suggest that because if in a 3-day emergency event, you don't want to have to worry about dishes, because you might not have clean water to wash your dishes. So you might want to put that somewhere in the budget eventually. Right now, the most important thing is starting to get a food storage started in your home. If you don't like the word food storage, think about it as a deep pantry. Okay? Most of us that have large families, we do buy in bulk because it's cheaper for us. So we need to kind of learn how to store it. And most of us do. But smaller families, you guys are kind of used to, buying the smaller things. Well, if you just spend a couple more dollars more, you can get a bigger amount, and then you can put whatever you have into food storage and use the rest for your everyday living. So when you look at those items on your thing, think about stuff that might be long storage. Pasta can be stored long storage. You can't put those in Mylar bags with oxygen absorbers or mason jars. Flour can be. You can. It extends it for maybe another 18 to 4 years, just depending what it is. I understand it's refined. Most people, this whole thing, I'm assuming you don't have a wheat grinder like I do. You just have basic, regular kitchen stuff. So that's why I gear it more towards that, so that everybody can put their hand to it. Now, if you have a hand mill or an electric mill to do your wheat berries, go ahead and buy your wheat berries, right? You probably already are doing it. Or you're thinking about making your own bread, okay? That's the type of stuff you're going to need. Flour will get rancid quicker over time. Wheat berries, when it's packed up in the Mylar bags, can last up to 25 years, 30 years, okay? So look at what's your lifestyle goals. Do you want to be more self-sufficient? Do you want to make your own bread? Do you want to make more things from scratch? That's going to be cheaper for you in the long run, and also it's going to be healthier for you. But make these little changes as you go, but just have these kind of goals. Where do you want to be? Where do you want to go? You might be living in an apartment. Here's the next step. Where are you going to store the stuff? Are you in an apartment? Or are you in a house? So you might have to be a little more creative if you're in an apartment, okay? You can't go buy probably $500 worth of rice, beans, and wheat berries, because you might not have the space for it. But you can start in your apartment. And maybe you plan within the next year or two to move into a home or find a homestead or something like that. You can still start small and just bring it with you. And just be creative for what you do. I would encourage anybody, at least you can do one tote. One tote that you get at the store, which is about this big, and they're black. You can fit up to 14 1-gallon Mylar bags in that. And that's a lot of food. And you can switch it up how much food you want and what you want according to your taste. This is something anybody can do. And then you can move your resource. If you do that, you can move your resources to something else. Like I said, if you live in an apartment and you want that homestead, then you start saving money. But at least you have some of that security. Some of it's there. And it's like a rainy day thing for you. You live in a home. And even with apartment dwellers, you can look underneath your bed, a little closet, anything, to just kind of put it there. And as you get into this, you might say, you know what, I want to go a little bit longer, or I need to, like in my case, I do make our bread. I also make tortillas, and I get stuff that I need for that, and I use palm oil because that's longer. That's a fat and it's long-term storage, so it's not going to go rancid on me. And the only thing I do caution you all about is you need to think about Pesach. I don't include things like pancake mixes or anything like that because it has leavening in it. And when Pesach comes around, you don't want to forget about it and go, oh my word, I forgot to toss it out because of the leavening that's in it. So I choose things that I can make from scratch that can just add the baking powder. So I just have to throw out the baking powder when it's that time of year. That's the only concern with stuff like mixes like that, unless you know you're going to use it. Like when I did that 3-month thing, I did throw in some brownie mix because it was after Pesach. So I did that. And so as long as you know where it's at and you can use it up, that's fine. But if it's like 2 months before Pesach, you don't want to buy a big 5 pounds of baking powder because you're going to end up tossing it. Or yeast. I've done that before. So as you think about the storage items, like I said, how are you going to do it? Are you going to use Mylar bags? You're going to use oxygen absorbers and stuff like that. That's the stuff you kind of need to think. You really need to think where you're going to put it and its home. But some things can be as simple as say, I don't have anywhere to put it, or I just don't have the funds at the moment. You can get a Ziploc bag and or even the packaging like your rice. You can get a pound of rice at the store and just keep it, and you can put it in a little box. It will last a little bit while. It'd probably be better to just repackage it, put it in a Ziploc bag, because it's a little bit thicker than the bags that you get from the grocery store. But that's a way to start, and just put it aside. Okay, if you have no money, and that's a possibility. So anybody can really start into that. So when you're getting all that stuff and you're kind of thinking, so what's the plan? How am I going to do that? Now that you do have that, you set your budget level, how much food you're going to need, and kind of figure that out. There's some wonderful food calculators on the internet if you want to really get into it. But those numbers might scare you doing it for a year, because I think it's like 720 pounds of wheat per person for a year. That's a lot of wheat. And that might overwhelm you. So always I encourage you to start small, and if you start digging, don't get overwhelmed. So what I started out was, if I had limited funds, what's the basic I can do? So what I did was $10 per paycheck. Some of us can find $10 somewhere. And what that got me was 5 pounds of rice, 2 pounds of pinto beans, a pound of small red beans, and some Tony's seasonings. Now, remember, I'm in the South, so we're making like red beans and rice and pinto beans, because I'm half Mexican, so you got that side of the family going on. So I got all of that. That's, like I said, basic stuff. Most people can handle that. That's $9.28 before tax. That's today's prices. That's as of 24 hours ago. Now, the Tony's, a quick note about that. Like I said, I picked 3 months. So what can I do in 3 months? How much is this going to get me if I did $10 per paycheck? Now, I don't think we all want like 12 ounces of Tony's. That's a lot. even here for the South. So what you can do is you can get like maybe 2 or 3, and the rest, throw in some other seasonings like at everybody's favorite store. You can get their generic onion powder for $1.12, or you can get their organic for $4.36. The garlic powder, same price. You can get a bottle of hot sauce. My family likes Crystal, so that would be for a 12 ounce. That's $1.74. And liquid smoke, if you want to kind of throw another flavor in there, that's $1.92. So anytime I put like seasonings or stuff, you can always, it's just to give you an idea. This is just examples of what you can do, and you just make it work for you. Some people can't handle rice, so don't get rice. Obviously, don't get stuff you don't eat. That's the number one thing. Don't buy stuff that you're not going to eat. You need to be able to eat it. Your kids, especially your children, you don't want to upset their boat too much. You want to try to keep things as simple and something and consistent for them. And like I said, in my house, it's peanut butter and jelly. Okay? And they also like their deli sandwiches. Obviously, deli meat's not good for long-term storage, but peanut butter and jelly. So some of that would be in some of my stuff. But if I had to feed them, they would eat this, and to help extend things. So if I did that for 3 months, I would have 30 pounds of rice, 12 pounds of pinto beans, 3 pounds of red beans, and like I said, 2 Tony seasonings and some other seasonings. And that's a total of 55.44. Okay? That's quite a bit. Because a cup of rice or 2 cups can last the family, especially a family of 4, for quite a while. So you have a good start right there. Okay? So say, you know what? I can up that a little bit. This sounds doable. Let's do $20 a paycheck. And we're going to throw a little bit more things in there. Okay? We're going to do 5, this is per paycheck, 5 pounds of rice, 2 pounds of pinto beans, a pound of red beans, that chicken bouillon that I like, 5 pounds of flour, and a 4-pack of canned chicken. Okay? Notice the 10, we didn't have like a canned meat because I was trying to I'm getting you in the door. But if we up it to $20 a paycheck, hey, we can get you some canned meat. So like I said, during a disaster or something, you want something quick. You don't want to have to worry about cooking something. Something that will feed the kids, feed the hubby, and make them full. And canned chicken lasts for a while. Okay? All that before taxes here in the South is $18.84. So we have at least a couple meals there. You might have to spread out that chicken a little bit, but hey, you got something going. So after 3 months, you'll get the 30 pounds of rice, the 6 pounds of pinto beans, the 3 pounds of red beans. Again, I don't know if you want to have 6 things of the chicken stock, but you can play around with that. But at least get 3. 30 pounds of flour and 6 4-packs of canned chicken. Like I said, this is doable, even at $20 a paycheck. You're ahead of the game. You do the $10 one, you are like better. You are in the 97% pile. Okay, as better than what? Oh, sure. No, I'm sorry. You become the 3% because most people are not prepared. I got my numbers backwards. Most people are just not prepared. They're not even prepared for 3 days. They might have something in there, and those that are maybe used to city living, and I was a city girl, you can just go to the store, every day if you want to, or every 3 days to go get what you need. Those that move out of the country, we're going to have more of the stuff because we don't want to have to travel that 20, 40 minutes to go to the store. So we're more prepared, naturally more prepared mind in that respect, where others are not. And it's just a perspective. It's not good. It's not bad. It's just how they were raised and where they live, their environment. And that is, like I said, this is something doable. This is something that anyone can achieve. And so I want to touch a little bit on the I'm in tough times. Like I said, I don't have much. I have very little funds. If you can just commit to 1 pound of rice. 1 pound of rice is 88 cents. So this paycheck, you get that. The next paycheck, you'll get a pound of pinto beans or whatever your favorite beans you have. Go find a pound at whatever store you shop at and start there and put it in a box. Put it in a little plastic box. Preferably if you have a Ziploc bag, put it in a Ziploc bag, but if not, because it will stay there. If you put it in the box, even the packaging, you put it in the box, it's good for 6 months, 8 months. Just kind of check it, but it's good. You want to eventually repackage it, but hey, you get a little bit of a start. Just start until things get better. Or if you get birthday money, spend it on getting the Mylar bags, okay? It's well worth it in the long run, but just to get you started. Because like I said, if you just do like the $10 a month, you're way ahead of the game. At least, especially if you live in areas that are prone to natural disasters. You will be prepared with at least food, and your family will be fed. A little bit longer, I like 3 months as a goal, because that will help someone transition from job to job. Okay, jobs are hard to find right now sometimes. A good paying job. Most people are hiring full-time. They're just doing the part-time. So some people have to do 2 part-time jobs. So that will help you with the transition of things if you have at least 3 months in the household. And just keep rotating. Just make sure you keep it at 3 months. So that way, like I said, in this economy, you just never know when things are going to flip, where you might not have that job. And if you're here in the South or in the country, you know about the mason jars. If you have mason jars on hand, you can do this too. It's not my favorite way because the con of it is glass and it can break, and it is space. But hey, if you can get some quart jars, pint jars, but the gallon ones, and you get some oxygen absorbers, you can put that puppy in there, and that will work too. This is just different ideas to get you into the door. So say, okay, I'm ready to do this. I want to do bulk. I'm ready to go get my 150 pounds of flour or rice. Let's do rice, 150 pounds of rice. I want some beans. I want all this stuff. Where do I get it? So let's talk about that. Or even say, hey, I can do, out of my grocery budget, I can do $100. I take it from my grocery budget, okay? Or even $50. Where do I go get this stuff? Bulk stuff, you can find that, like I said, at the, I'm just going to say, at the Costco's or the Sam's Clubs. There's another outlet, too, called as your standard. I haven't really seen, at least at the Costco's, I'm not too sure about the Sam's Clubs, but like beans. Beans, they don't carry in bulk. And if they do, it's hit and miss. So what I do is I use as your standard and a couple other people, and you just go on their website and you find a drop. It's a once a month thing, and it's a good way to get the bulk storage. Now, those that live in Amish country, if you can go find an Amish store and get most of your stuff bulky, man, I go there. So that's what I would do. And I would try to find some stuff, because if you're going to do this big bulk, then obviously you're going to need some stuff like Mylar bags and oxygen absorbers. And so I'm going to walk you through that. So for the first month, and it's going to be about $100, $120 right there. But if you have that money, this is what I'm going to do. If it was me, I'm going to go to your standard. I'm going to order 25 pounds of pinto beans, okay? And I'm going to order 25 pounds of rolled oats. I'm going to get my Mylar bags from there because they have the zip top, and it's a good price. I'm going to get my oxygen absorbers from Amazon, though, okay? And I'm going to get my rice from Costco, 25 pounds. Okay. On the slide that's being showed, I have 2 columns. Azure carries organic and non-GMO brands. So I wanted to show two totals. So as you can see, just an example for the first row, you have the pinto beans at 25 pounds. Organic is 43.14, and non-GMO is 3716. So I have all those totals for here. So everything down the road here, if you were to go organic straight down, that's $119.01. That's before taxes. If you go with the non-GMO, it's $101.76. Okay. A quick note about the oxygen absorbers. The reason I get them from Amazon is I like how the companies package them there. Azure has them, but they pack, unless they've changed it, and they haven't changed it lately, they package it all at once. What I'm saying is if you order 100, 100 is vacuum sealed all at once instead of being packaged of 10. In month 2, I would get from Azure coconut oil, Expeller pressed. That's the one that doesn't taste like coconut. I would get 25 pounds of black beans, 25 pounds of hard white wheat. And then that subtotal, I'm going to give you the organic one, would be 97.27. And then the other one would be the non-GMO side, would be 82.64. And then I would round that up. If I wanted to get it close to 100, I would round that up with bulk spices, whether I get them from Amazon, Costco, whatever, just to put it in. Salt would be a big thing. You want some salt. You want to be able to season. The thing is, you can get what they call food fatigue. You want to season your stuff. And you obviously want something that your children and your husband's going to eat. So stick with what you normally eat. But like I said, you want to bring some seasoning to the table here. Month 3, I would get 2 25-pound bags of rice from Costco. I will get 5 pounds of Himalayan salt from Costco. I will get 1 pack of the canned chicken from Costco. I would get 4 generic peanut butter, 4 pounds from our favorite box store, which would be Walmart, and 4 Welch's grape jelly. All that before taxes is $83.56. That would keep my family going for a pretty long time if I did that. I probably would figure around, but that's like a basic. Like I said, if you can do it, look at your stuff. Especially those that like rice and beans and all the way you can do it and all the different flavorings and stuff. Have fun with it. And then I also encourage you to get the canned meats, whether it be tuna, chicken. We like corned beef hash, so I have that in my stock. But this is something that you all can do. You can start at any different level that you're at. Once you get that done, you might, like I said, you might want to be thinking about other resources and just off other ideas. You got your 3 months goal has been met. If you want to go on, fine, you can just slowly add to that. But then you can shift that money over to things like your disposable goods, whether it be toilet paper, paper towels, plates, and utensils. Also, you might want to think about your water resources. So you just start shifting it because you're going to need water for this. And this is not the video for water, but that's something to think about because you're going to need to be able to cook. Most of us can go to the store and go get water or turn on the faucet, but you might have to think of some other ways of doing that in case of a natural disaster. As always, at the end of the video, I have some useful links you can go to. Pack Fresh USA. They sell the oxygen absorbers. They sell Mylar bags. They sell them in bulk. So say if you and your friends you have some like-minded friends and y'all want to get together and buy in a bulk, that would be the cheapest. You can do that. They sell it like 200, 500. Go check them out. I think probably more so because they also do commercial side too, but they will sell to the public on that note too. So they can do the bulk. But if you just don't want to do that, Amazon's a great place. But Pack Fresh USA too has a lot of information. Not just selling, but they have information on what type of oxygen absorbers to use in mason jars. Chart on, okay, so I have a quart-sized quart-size Mylar bag. What size oxygen do I need to put in? Or I'm doing a 5-gallon pail, okay? They have so much information over there. I would encourage you guys to look at and print it off, okay? You want to put it in a binder or something to help you in your endeavor, because you might not have, especially with power lines going down in a hurricane, you might not have the internet to go, hey, what do I need to, how long do I need to boil water for, or and other information so that you might need. And they'll give you other helpful ideas too. Because we're talking about long-term storage. This Mylar bags can also work for short-term storage. When I say that, that's 1 to 2 years. Okay? I gave you the link also to Azure Standard. Of course, everybody knows all the other places. Just be creative. Enjoy this. This is not to be, oh my word, we got to go do this now. This is not how it is. We want the Father to direct our paths. We know that we're responsible for our families. So let's take that step. Let's be better than what the world's doing. We are called to be set apart. We want to be we also want to be the mini Josephs. We might have the opportunity. We might be a Joseph to somebody else, to feed them, to give them a meal, to hand them, hey, I know you're having a rough time. Here, if everybody in the community can do that, that can help a family going through rough times a couple months if they didn't happen to have it. And it might encourage them once they get back on their feet to start that. So everybody's at where they need to be. This is not a race. This is not, here, this is what I'm doing. It's not a prize. It's a way to be self-sufficient, a way to honor the Father, and a way to show love to one another. So I pray that this program has been beneficial to you and to your family and honoring to the Father. And you all have a blessed week.